Oh, it's that time! It's tournament time, baby! Woohoo! So, this is the first video of this, and today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be comparing two different cars, two utterly, completely different cars, using absolute BS to determine a winner between the two. And yes, that title is what we're calling this. So, what we're going to be doing is, I'm thinking of having multiple seasons of where we place 16 cars within each season against each other, where we rank them and fight them against each other to be able to determine a winner. So, we could have two completely different random cars, such as like a Mazda MX-5 or a Ford F-150, of which they are both in completely different categories of cars. One's a truck, one's a sports car, well, one's a ute, you could say. Yeah, completely different cars, and we're going to be able to rank them today using absolutely just wild categories. So for instance, a category could be the exterior to compare the cars, but this could be anything, and we'd roll this just using a wheel that I've made myself. So, for each category, we'll roll a multiply to determine how the weighting of the category, you could say. This could range from 0 in rare cases, up to 3,000, also in rare cases, or I'd spin a wheel to determine this. Then I'd also spin a wheel to determine if the exterior, as an example, should be looking good or bad. And then I'd rank, in this case, the Mazda MX-5 a higher number because I'd think that the MX-5 looks good. And this ranking would be from 0 to 10. And then also, it could roll bad, so in this case, I would maybe give a 10 to the F-150 if I thought that was the worst looking car ever, and I'd give that a 10. There could also be just completely wild category, like number of cup holders, and it could get a wild multiplier, such as 3,000 times. And that would be the decider, as there would be a final tally at the end to be able to decide the winner. In this case, the F-150 would win in a landslide because it has more cup holders than the MX-5. So, from here, let's determine our first car and let's go to the wheel. So here's the wheel with every car brand that I've decided that I will put against each other. So, I've got a list here, and let's give it a spin to determine our first car. Well, this will determine the brand, and then we'll determine the car by spinning another wheel after it lands on this certain brand. So, let's give it a spin, and what will we get? Oh, okay, we get a Ford. Nice, nice. What was the Ford F-150 from the example? Okay, cool. So let's grab that Ford. So here is the Ford brand wheel. I just made this. And this will be cars in the Ford brand that I think I'd be willing to rank against each other. So, let's give it a spin and determine our first car. Specific first car. And it will be the Ford Ranger. Okay. That's a good pick, that's a good pick, that's a good pick. It's basically a smaller F-150, just to make it clear for you guys. So, let's put that into the slides. Okay, so we've got our first car now into the placements for Season 1, and we've also got it in the table, ready to be ranked. Alright, spinning the every car brand wheel again. And let's see what we get to verse. What brand will we be versing against the Ford? A Lotus? A Lotus! Okay. Let's pull up the Lotus wheel. Okay, I've just yet again made another wheel, but for Lotus this time. And these are the cars that could be potentially go against the Ford Ranger. Let's have a look. This is gonna be interesting, I'll tell you that. A Lotus Evora versus a Ford Ranger. Okay, wait, this is pretty cool. Okay, let's rank these. Well, rank these. I'll put them in the slides, and then let's pick the categories. So, alright, we now have the Season 1 placements with the Ford Ranger and the Lotus Evora now entered in, which is great. And we've also put them into the table. So, now onto those categories. So, for this we're going to have 10 categories. So we're going to have to spin this wheel 10 times to see what we get. So, I guess there's no way better to start than giving this a spin. So, oh boy, what are these two going to be facing? Okay, modding. So basically, how easy they are to mod. We'll take that, alright. I wonder what wins that, we'll see. Exterior. I just realised I should probably remove that. If it comes up, I'll just ignore it if modding comes up again. Alright, so, again another interesting one, okay. Size of car. Interesting, okay, that's good. Oh, number of used cars. Another interesting one. Okay, I'm looking forward to this. Size, we just got that. I'll remove it. We'll ignore it. Opulence. I don't see neither of these cars having much opulence at all, but sure. Exhaust. Well, I think we know what's winning that one. Remove. Beautiful. I haven't been keeping count. We'll see. I'll spin this a few more times and we'll check. Fuel efficiency. I'm curious what's going to win that one, actually. We'll see. Let's have a look at another. Probably the Ranger. Number of cylinders. Alright. Let's go again. Warranty. So how long the warranty lasts? Okay, cool. Okay, so the one last one. Let's give this a go. Practicality. Okay, well we know that can be interesting. We'll see how the good or bad wheel affects that, and also the multipliers. Okay, let's put this in the table. So this is how the Ford Ranger and Lotus Evora are going to be compared. The categories will be modding, the exterior, their size, their number of used cars, the opulence, the exhaust, the fuel efficiency, the number of cylinders, the length of the warranty, practicality. Those are the categories. So, now we just got to find the multipliers for them, and to see if they're good or bad. Let's have a look at the wheel. So, we need 10 multipliers this time, so we're going to spin the wheel again 10 times. So, what are we going to get? Let's have a look. So the first thing is a 3 times multiplier. Okay. Next thing, I believe it's, I forget what the first multiplier actually, well the first category was. We'll see in a moment. There's a 14 times for the second. Oh, 20 times, not quite 3,000. Next category is a 6 times. Okay, 6 times multiplier, not bad. Fold 5 times multiplier for the next category. $11 times multiplier for the next category. Okay. Spin it again. 7 times multiplier. Not getting anything insane just yet. Next one. A 2 times multiplier. Quite small, actually. Alright. A 16 times. And I believe one more spin. Last one. For the last category... Oh, my heart almost sunk at 3,000. Okay, 20 times. I mean, that's still a lot, 20 times, but 3,000 would have been insane. Alright, oh, that's for practicality too. Oh boy. So, I guess that means let's have a look at the other wheel to determine how good or bad each category is, or if we're looking for more in the category or less in the category. Or simply, I choose. So, let's have a look. We've got to spin this 10 times again. Oh boy. It'll all be revealed at the end, but I'm scared. Okay. Okay, we'll take that. Even though I forget what the first category is, which I am clutching. Okay, I choose. Okay. So, in my biased opinion... Bad/less. Okay. I'm wanting the Lotus Evora to win. Bad/less. Because I like the car very much. Ford Ranger is just everywhere where I am. Good/more, okay. I choose. I'll take that. I'll take that. Good/more. Okay, okay. Okay. Two more it is now. So this one's warranty, I remember this one. Okay, which one has the worst warranty? Got you. Interesting. And the last one is practicality, I remember that. Okay, which one's more practical? Gotcha. Alright, let's put this all into the table and see how we stack up. So, we have inputted all our categories, all our multipliers, and all of the variables determining how good or if there should be more of that specific category. Okay, so let's have a look here and see what I think is good and what is helpful to see and make the Lotus Evora win, because that's what I'm rooting for here. I don't know about you guys, but this is what I'm rooting for. You might be after the Ford Ranger, which is good. It's not a bad car, I'm not against it, but I want the Lotus Evora to win personally. So let's see if we can make that happen. So, modding ability. Good/more. I mean, it's got a 3 times multiplier, so it doesn't really mean that much. But I think that this point would definitely go to the Ford Ranger, although I don't know how much just yet. We'll look into that, dive into that in a minute. But I think the Ford Ranger would win that, just because it's an off-roader, and it can be a utility vehicle. There's a lot you can do to it to personalize it for your lifestyle, unlike the Lotus Evora. So let's go to the exterior. I choose, so I'm going to make this good looking, because the Evora is gorgeous in my opinion. So that's going to do well in this category, I can see that happening. Size. Okay, this is bad/less. So this means the smaller the size, the better. And I can already tell what's going to be winning and going ahead on that one. Next is number of used cars. So the less amount of cars on the used market, the better. So that's definitely another point to a certain car over here. Opulence. So this isn't a very good category for this, because neither of these cars are very luxurious, you could say. This is very bare bones sports car, and this is just a workman's ute, a workman's truck. So, pickup, you could say. So, yeah, not very opulent, but we'll see what we can do for that category. Exhaust, I'm going to say the better exhaust I'll score points to, for no particular reason. Fuel efficiency, good/more. So this multiplier, it's kind of average, just kind of like the others here, except for size, which is going to heavily sway here. Fuel efficiency, now I think the Ranger might be winning this one. We'll see in a second, but the Lotus, we'll see how that stacks up actually, that'll be interesting. Number of cylinders, 2 times multiplier, so it isn't going to matter that much, and the less cylinders is better here. Okay, to keep that in mind. Warranty, so whatever has the shorter warranty is going to do better in this category. And by a lot, this is going to mean a lot too. So is practicality. 20 times is quite large. I mean, it's not the 3,000 times, but this is the largest we have here today. And that's for practicality. So the more practical, the better practicality, will score more points in this area. So we'll keep that in mind. Okay, let's have a look at modding. So, how we are going to match these cars up is going to be using car sales for everything. This is the go-to website. So, immediately as I get to Ford Rangers, you can immediately see that this thing is modded and kitted out. Just visually, you can see the snorkel on the side, it's got spotlights on the roof and on the grille over here. And look at these tyres, although I think those tyres are stock. This is a Raptor, by the way. And this one's got a roof rack, this one's also got a roof rack. This one's also kitted out, it's got a bull bar going on here. So yeah, this is definitely heavily modifiable. Look at the rear here. Look at this rear here. Snorkel again, bull bar on there. This thing is modded and kitted out. You can do a lot to this car. Meanwhile, if we go over to the Lotus Evora, these things, good looking, but as you can see, the only thing that I can really point out, going over these cars, isn't much. The wheels all look stock. This lift, it's on both these cars, so I'm pretty sure that's stock. If we go to look into one of these. Okay, after just going through all these cars, the owners have said that it's been well maintained and untouched. So I take that as not being modded. So this is a definite point to the Ford Ranger, and I wonder how I'm going to rank this. So this could definitely be modded in some way. It is supercharged, so it probably can be tuned, but these cars haven't been. So there's not much of a modding community as I've seen on here specifically, but the Ford Ranger, I might have to give it a 10 in this category. So let's do that. Okay, sadly back to the slideshow. Now the Lotus, this isn't its best category, that's for sure. As you can see, the Ford Ranger, I'm definitely giving that a 10. But I've given the Lotus Evora 2 because it's definitely got tunability and it's already got a supercharger in it. So it can be tuned and it would produce a bit of power if you were to tune that, I reckon. Although, of course, at the cost of reliability, but that's modding for you. But there's definitely a bit you can do to the Evora, but there's definitely a lot you can do to the Ranger. So that's my thoughts on that. Okay, let's go over the exterior. Okay, so as we look at the Ford Ranger here, it just kind of looks like a normal, plain, ordinary pickup. It's not the kind of car that you turn your head at to have a look at. You wouldn't crane your neck if you saw this thing on the road. It's not that special, but it's not bad looking either. That goes to the interior. Let's have a look at this one. So the previous one was just a normal spec-ish. Then this is the top of the range here. This is the Ford Raptor. Now this is a lot better looking. It turns your head a bit more. In my opinion, this one looks better. It's got the dual exhaust, got the Raptor stickers on it. It's actually quite nice. I do like the look of this. It's a good looking car. But then we get to the Lotus. So the Lotus here, it looks like a supercar. So like, I think points go to that. And yeah, I just think this looks good to me. I don't know about you, you can see the engine poking out, being a mid-engine car. It's low and flat to the ground. I'll pull up this one. It's just good looking. I don't really have much words for it, gotta be honest. Very sporty car. I like it. I like the body flow, the lines, huge shoulder on the rear. I think that's what you call that. Black roof. It looks good. So, based off that, I'm going to rank it. I'm going to average these out. So for the Ford Ranger, I gave it a 6. So I would give the Ranger Raptor maybe a 7, and then the normal plain Ranger just a 5. So I averaged it out to a 6, and that's how I got to that. And then the Lotus Evora, I think it's an 8. A solid 8, in my opinion, for looks-wise. Okay, on to size. I don't think... You know what, we'll look at the dimensions, so let's go have a look at that. So let's have a look at these dimensions. So which one is smaller? I think we know the answer to that. But exactly by how much, and by that I'll give it a ranking. So, I'll also include mass into this and how much the car weighs. So lengthwise, so 4,385 millimeters. I'll just close these. For the Lotus. And then for the Ford, the length is 5,380 millimeters. So that's a whole meter longer. So I guess that should be expected. And then width-wise, it's 2,000 millimeters for the Ranger, and then 1,800 for the Lotus. Smaller again. Height-wise, I don't think we need to even give this a comparison. Yeah, we don't need to give that a comparison. Lotus, a lot smaller height-wise. And then we'll also have a look at weight. So 1,300 kilograms for the Lotus, and then it's 2,425 kilograms for the Ranger. So the Ranger, although it isn't a Ford F-150 size, it's still really quite large. And the Lotus, it is kind of small compared to most cars nowadays, including the weight here. I mean, lengthwise, it's still somewhat long, but it's not ridiculous. And widthwise, it's kind of average. But height, it's definitely short. So to rank these, I am going to put a 2 for the Ford Ranger, because, well, it's almost one of the largest vehicles out there, at least on Australian roads. So I've given that a 2. It's not the largest. It's pretty bad at being small, this car. That's what this category is asking. Then a Lotus Evora. It's no Mini, it's no Fiat 500, but it's still a smaller car. So I've given it a 7 out of 10 for the size category. Okay, let's have a look at the number of used cars. So the less the better. Okay, if we look at the number of used cars in the markets, so there is 4 Lotus Evora cars available in Australia, well, for sale right now, on the used market. So, barely anything at all. And if we go to Ford Rangers, and we scroll up a little bit wide, I mean a lot, you can probably already tell, that there's 8,361 Rangers for sale, second hand. So I'm just gonna say, go out on a limb here and rank them, giving the Ford Ranger a 1, because it is really popular and there is a lot on the market right now that are being sold. And then for the Lotus Evora, I have to give it a 10. There's only 4 on the market for sale, and they're really quite rare cars. So that's how I'm ranking this. Okay, on to opulence. Let's have a look at the interiors. Okay, as we have a look here, the Ford Ranger is quite, I'd call it premium. I'm looking at the Raptor model here, as you can probably tell by the Raptor here. And it's quite, I'd call it premium. It's got leather, it's got coloured stitching, but it's not opulent, if you know what that means. So yeah, there isn't many interior photos, but there's enough here to gauge. So it does look like there's enough squidgy material in there, but it's not Rolls Royce. Rolls Royce would be a 10, if that's what we're looking on a scale here. Now this is obviously not Rolls Royce level, but it's also not like a tin can bucket. So looking at this, it's pretty solid, I'm not gonna lie. I'm feeling maybe a 7 for opulence, honestly. This doesn't look too bad at all. Maybe a 6. 7. That looks 7 to me. It's a nice, good premium level of interior, that looks like. But when we move over to the Lotus, now, this it's a Lotus. So, apart from the very brand new cars of Lotus, these aren't known for their nice interiors, you could say. I mean, it's not bad, the Evora, actually, going through these. Like, that's really not that bad, but it's not opulent. That's a special word. Actually, for Lotuses, this isn't actually too bad, look at it going through this. This isn't too bad at all, it's quite nice. It's got the nameplate. Oh, I also think the Raptor has that. Hand built in England. Okay, that kind of adds a level of refine to it. Having hand built plate on it. But yeah, that's the infotainment, that's your buttons. It's not amazing. Okay, well I'm gonna have to rank this, giving the Lotus Evora a 3. It's not amazing, opulence-wise. It's not like it's not luxury, if that's what I'm defining opulence as. So I'd give it a 3 because it's actually not as bad as I was expecting. And then I gave the Ford Ranger a 6 because I'm trying to be fair with it, but still trying to be a little bit biased and giving the Lotus a few more points here. So with that, let's go to exhaust. Actually, they're just going off car sales won't do this for you, and I'm afraid to play exhaust videos just in case I get copyright claim. So I'll watch something, come back and give you my opinion. Okay, so I just watched a bit. It was probably a media cut for you, but I just watched a couple videos on the exhaust, and here are my thoughts on the exhaust. So the Lotus Evora actually sounds really good in my opinion. It sounds definitely like a supercar. That was really good. And then the Ford Ranger, I watched Raptor exhausts, and they were also surprisingly good. So both these cars have 6 cylinders that I just listened to, and yeah, they were pretty good in my opinion. So that's what I'm ranking those. Now let's have a quick look at fuel efficiency. So to keep it fair with the exhaust video, I'm going to be looking at the Raptor for this as well, even though obviously this would have the higher fuel consumption. Or should I average it out? Nah, let's be biased here, shall we? Okay, so the fuel economy combined for the Raptor is 11.5 litres per 100 k's, which isn't bad, but it's not great either. And then for the Lotus, so 11.5 for that, and then for the Lotus average is 10.4 litres, which I guess it makes sense, kind of. I mean, the Ford Ranger is a lot heavier car than the Evora, but also, of course, the Evora pushes out more power, and it's got a really sporty engine. So yeah, that's the combined fuel economy, which is surprising. I still thought that the Ranger would be better, but no, the Evora is better. So let's put these down and rank these. So I decided to rank these both as a 4, because the fuel economies are basically identical, you could say. I mean, the Ford Ranger is arguably worse, but I thought I'd give it a little bit of slack, given that the other models of it are most definitely more fuel efficient. So I gave it a little bit more slack, even though it was worse than the Evora. So I gave them both a 4, and now on to the number of cylinders. So the Ford Ranger can have 4 or 6 cylinders, and the Evora can only have 6 cylinders. So therefore, well, the less is better here. So what I'm going to do is jump cut. Okay, I gave the Ford Ranger a 7, because, I mean, you can't really get less than 4 cylinders on a car. You can get 3, but I would have given this an 8 if it only had 4 cylinders, but because of the 6-cylinder in the Raptor, yeah, I gave it a 7. And yeah, if it was 3-cylinder, I'd probably give it 10 for a 2-cylinder, but I don't know if there is any 2-cylinder cars out there. Well, there is rotaries in Mazda, but I don't know if that really counts as a cylinder. Oh yeah, I would count it as that actually. So there you go, I'd probably give that a 10. as an example. And then because the Evora only comes with a 6, it's no V12, so I gave it a 5, because 6 isn't that many. It's kind of middle of the road. And now let's have a look at their warranty. So here we're looking for the worst warranty is better. So a 3-year warranty really isn't great for nowadays, although it is unlimited Ks, but it's still not great for nowadays cars. Although this is an older car and it'd be completely out of warranty now, all of them. So I'll have a look at the Ford Ranger 2. So a 5-year unlimited K warranty. Well, that's kind of average for nowadays, so I mean, yeah, it's just kind of average, but then the Lotus just isn't good at all. And these cars are still in warranty, if you were to buy them within the last 5 years, that would be at least. So I'll rank those. So I ended up giving the Ford Ranger a 5, because it's very middle of the road and average for cars nowadays. And the Lotus Evora a 3. Now, it would have been a 2, but just because it had unlimited Ks on the warranty, I ended up giving it 3. Little bit of leniency, a little bit of bias. Okay, last category. So this is the make or break. So, this is going to be close, I reckon. After we do this, I wonder what's going to happen. Okay, let's rank the practicality. I think we all know what's going to be happening here with the Ford Ranger and the Evora, but let's have a look. So, if you were to look at the Ford Ranger here, now it is a 5-seater and very much a family vehicle. You can see that there's plenty of space in the back here, and you know that it's very much an off-roader, it can very much tow, and it very much does have a tray in the back, which means for plenty of use cases for many different things. It's got a very wide range of practical applications. For instance, family, utility, like work use, towing as I said, off-roading as I said. It's very wide range of applications. And it's got the seats to work for it. I mean, it's not a 3-seater SUV, but it's still, I reckon it's about the same level of practicality because it has the tray, because it can tow, because it can go off-roading. But then for the Lotus, it is a 4-seater, this car, so that's better than just being a 2-seater coupe. But you basically have no legs to be in those 4 seats in the back. And you wouldn't really use that for people back there. Maybe in only if you have to squeeze people back there, but you really wouldn't. You just use it as like a storage shelf. And other than that, it does have a small boot in the back. It's not very big at all. You might fit a couple shopping bags back there, but not much. And it get quite hot back there as well because of the engine, as you can see, being right next to the boot. So not amazing practicality, but also not horrible for being a coupe, a sports coupe, but also not amazing, and definitely pales in comparison to the Ford Ranger. So let's rank these. Okay, so I think that the Ford Ranger should be a 9. I didn't give it a 10. Maybe I would have made it a 10 if it was a Ford Everest, because that can also be a 3-seater and does have a buttload more storage and can do everything else the Ranger can. So I gave the Ranger a 9, also because I didn't want to make it a 10 because I do want to give the Evora a chance. But I also gave the Evora a 4. I mean, it's not amazing practicality at all, but it still has some practicality, so I think the 4 is warranted. Okay, now that's all the scoring we've got. So, I'm going to leave you for a second and do a quick tally. Let's have a look. Okay, before I tell you guys the winner and give you guys the final tally of the scores, make sure you subscribe if you like the content and also give it a like, because this is only the first episode of the tournament. And if you want to see how this tournament progresses, please subscribe. I'm aiming for the goal of 100 subscribers by the end of this month. So if you subscribe, that'd be greatly beneficial to my goal here. And we can progress this tournament and see how it goes. Okay, so let's see the final score, the final tally. And if you can tell by my voice, I'm somewhat excited and you can tell what's won. And the winner is the Lotus Evora! This was really close, actually. I didn't expect it to be this close. Actually, I kind of did after looking at the categories and the multipliers and how they would be ranked, it did look somewhat close, and it was. The difference in points is mental math here, 29 points, which is actually pretty close scoring. So it was a fair game, barely. And yeah, the Lotus won. Hooray! So this will be moving on to fight whatever wins the next episode, whenever that comes out. So yeah, it moves on. So if you liked the video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.